Today I would be talking about parameter file. The parameter file in Oracle is used to specify all the parameters for your instance. The Oracle instance during startup would read the parameters from this parameter file. Those parameters control the behavior of your Oracle instance and many other aspects as well, such as memory allocation, startup of optional processes, settings for languages or settings for NLS parameters. NLS stands for National Language Support. It is sometimes also called as MLS, which means multiple language support, etc. Oracle allows you to create two different types of parameter file. The older style textual parameter file, which is called as PFILE, and the newer style binary parameter file, which is called as SPFILE. You can use any one of them, but Oracle recommends SPFILE. So it's up to you whether you want to use a textual version of a parameter file or you want to use a binary version of a parameter file. But Oracle always recommends SPFiles. A P file, we'll talk about characteristics of P file now, is a text file containing parameters. This file can reside on the client's machine and still can be used to start up a remote Oracle instance. So number one, it's a text file which contains parameters. Now this file can reside on a client's machine and still can be used to start up a remote Oracle instance. Now consider this case. Your Oracle database has been implemented on Linux server. You are using a Windows laptop which has Oracle client software installed. On your C drive backslash init.ora file, you have all the necessary parameters required for an Oracle instance. Then, using the SQL star plus tool installed on your Windows machine, you can start up the remote Oracle instance using the locally available PFILE. So see how I can do this. I can say SQL plus sys remote connection password for sys followed by some TNS entry, which is a way to remotely or which is a way to identify a given database location is a TNS entry as sysdba, and once on SQL prompt you can say startup pfile is equal to init.ora. So I am connected to a remote instance which is or I am connected to a remote idle instance which is on a Linux machine. How do I mention that I am connected to a Linux machine? I am assuming that this TNS entry, which is not what we are familiar about as of now, but a TNS entry helps you connect to a remote database on a network. So we have defined in the TNS entry which server, which database service name, and which port, which protocol to be used for a remote connection. That has been defined in a TNS entry. This has been done on my Windows machine. Now when I connect to a remote machine, I am using my Windows SQL star plus.exe to connect to that remote instance on a Linux, which is as of now an idle instance. And then subsequently, once I am connected, I am saying startup pfile is equal to the complete path of pfile. However, this pfile is currently present on my machine. So this is the point that I wanted to elaborate. This file can reside on a client's machine and still can be used to start up a remote Oracle instance. So this file is on my Windows machine. However, I am trying to start up an Oracle instance which would be on a remote network connected Linux machine. So now I can remote start up an instance using a locally available pfile. Parameters in the pfile can be modified, can be added, edited using any text editor available on your OS. So assume that I want to rectify a parameter, I want to change it, or I want to delete it, I want to add a new parameter. So edit that particular parameter file in any text editor that you like, and then make those necessary changes into the P file, and later on save the file. So the parameter file is now modified. In short, there is no command way of modifying a parameter in a P file. It has to be hand edited using a text editor of your choice. If P file is present on the server which runs the Oracle instance, then the location has to be Oracle home dbs init sid.ora, where sid is the name of the instance. So replace that sid value with the name of your instance, and thus my p file could have a common convention such as it has to be there in the folder $oracle home dbs init sid.ora, where sid has to be substituted with the name of your instance. $oracle home database init sid.ora in case of Windows based Oracle. So if your Oracle runs on a Windows machine, then the name of that P file has to be in Oracle home database folder with the name init sid.ora. Oracle's RMAN backup utility cannot take a backup of a P file. This is the limitation with a P file, that Oracle's RMAN backup utility cannot take a backup of a P file. Now when I try to write down similar points about SPFILE, they would be like, is a binary file containing parameters. The SP file has to mandatorily reside on the server which runs the Oracle instance. So you do not have a choice for keeping an SP file on a client's machine. SP file has to always exist onto the server which hosts the Oracle instance. Parameters can be added, edited, deleted using command. So if you want to add or edit or delete a parameter in a parameter file, in a SP file, you have to do it via commands. This file is a binary file. You cannot edit it with a text editor. So do not try to edit a SP file using a text editor, else the file's contents would be corrupted and that file will be of no use going forward. So anything that has to be done with an SP file has to be done using commands. A P file is simply called as a parameter file, while an SP file stands for server parameter file. That is because of the location where the file has to be present. Next thing is about commands. How can I add a parameter using command, or how can I add or modify a parameter using command? You can say alter system set some parameter is equal to some value, followed by scope is equal to memory, or scope is equal to SP file, or scope is equal to both. Both is the default option. That's why I'm writing it in bold. SID is equal to star, or you can mention instance name. This is how one can add or edit or change the value of a parameter which is present in a parameter file. As an example, I am writing alter system set processes is equal to 1000, scope is equal to SPFILE. Although SID value is optional, which in automatically it will assume the value as star by default. Now let's understand what this command means. When it comes to parameters, in the parameter file or in the server parameter file are of two types: static parameters and dynamic parameters. Cannot these are those parameters, static parameters, which cannot be changed until you restart your Oracle instance. You can modify the parameter, but the modified value will not come in effect until you bounce the Oracle instance or restart the Oracle instance. So instead of saying cannot be changed, I would say so. Static parameters are those parameters which once changed, the value does not come in effect until you restart your Oracle instance. So these parameters are called as static parameters. These parameters once changed can be brought to effect immediately. Or if you want, also at the next restart. So static parameters, you can change them now, but they will not come into effect. The new value will not come into effect until you restart the Oracle instance. But dynamic parameters are those parameters which can be changed, and the value can also be brought to effect immediately if you want. If you do not want that value to be available immediately, you can defer the effect until the Oracle instance is restarted. So you have a choice there. But for static parameter, there is no choice. Once modified, they would only come in effect after the subsequent restart of your Oracle instance. I am giving an example of each one of them just to make it clear. I can say alter system set processes is equal to 1000, scope equal to SPFILE. Now understand this. Processes parameter is a static parameter. Means I can change it now, but the value will only be applicable after I restart my Oracle instance. It will not be immediately available. So consider a case that with my current running instance, the one that I started, the processes parameter is 500. My Oracle instance is up and running. I thought this value is too less, so I should modify it. I am using SPFILE. So I cannot directly edit the file using an editor. I have to do it using commands. So I type the command alter system set processes equal to 1000. Now this being a static parameter, I cannot provide any other scope. The only scope for static parameter is SPFILE. meaning write this modified value to the SP file. But when will the Oracle instance read the SP file? Only during the startup. So I will have to shut down the instance where the processes parameter was 500, which I modified it to 1000, but that effect has only been given to the SP file. And once I stop it and restart it the next time, it will read this modified value from the SP file. Clear? So understand one important principle. Number one, static parameters can only be modified with scope equal to SP file. Number two, and the effect of the changed value will only come after the subsequent restart of your Oracle instance. Clear? Now how to modify a dynamic parameter? Now with a dynamic parameter you have a choice. So I can say some dynamic parameter, another parameter is log underscore archive underscore dest underscore 1, and I have mentioned the value as location is equal to slash arc is the location where I this is nothing but the value of the parameter. Now depending on what I use for scope, it will decide what when the parameter will come in effect. If I say memory, that means change the parameter only in the currently running instance. Do not write down this modified value into the SP file. So as of now, it will start using the value slash arc. But if I shut down the instance and start up, since this value was never written into the SP file, it will still read the old value when I start up the next time. If I change the parameter using scope equal to SP file, meaning my currently running instance will continue to use the same value which was present in my SP file when I started my Oracle instance, but the modified value will be written into the SP file. So the modified value is not instantly available. It will be only available when I restart my Oracle instance. So if I shut down and start up the subsequent time, the new value will be applicable after the restart of my Oracle instance, because I mentioned scope equal to SP file, meaning it should not be available now, it should be available at a later date whenever I restart my Oracle instance. There's also another possibility where you can say scope equal to both, which means change it immediately so that the new value is available from this moment onwards in my current running instance. Also write down this modified value into the SP file. So change it now and change it forever, which means the scope equal to both. So the change value is available in my currently running instance. Second, it's also written into the SP file. So if I shut down my instance and start up, the modified value is available via SP file. Now the choice of scope equal to memory, the choice of scope equal to both only applies to dynamic parameters. For static parameters, they are only changed using scope equal to SP file, because they cannot be immediately brought to effect. The change value cannot be immediately brought to effect until you restart the Oracle instance. Since the parameters can be modified persistently using SP file and scope equal to both or SP file, it's also called as persistent parameter file. You can make those changes permanent by typing scope equal to both, means change it now, also write the modified value into the SP file. Or I can say change the parameter not now but make the modification into the parameter file, so the parameter becomes persistent, meaning it is available with the modified value across instance restarts. So that's why it's called, also sometimes referred to as persistent parameter file. If you want to do it with P file, you cannot, Oracle cannot directly write into the P file. I told you earlier, if a value in a parameter file has to be changed, it has to be changed using a text editor. That's why those files are not persistent in nature. Clear? Next thing is the SP file has to be present in the location Oracle Home DBS SPFILE SID.ora, where SID is the name of your Oracle instance. Oracle's RMAN backup utility can take automatic backup of your SP file, which is not possible with P file. So if Oracle's RMAN utility has been configured correctly, that is called as configure auto backup on. So if you have configured auto backup of control file, along with the backup of control file, Oracle can take a backup of SP file as well. You can configure using a command configure control file auto backup on, automatic backups of control file, and whenever a control file's automatic backup is taken, along with it Oracle's RMAN utility will also take a backup of your SP file. Same parameter with different or same values can be mentioned in the P file at various different or on various different lines. Which means, this means P file allows parameter duplication, but the parameters which appears towards the end are considered. Now consider a case in my parameter file. I mentioned at the beginning processes equal to 100. Then I have written some other parameters. Again somewhere down I said processes is equal to 200. Again I mentioned a couple of parameters, some other parameters. Again I mentioned processes is equal to 300. So this is possible that the same parameter might be mentioned with same or different values in the P file, because I said who manages the P file? User. And user might very well type the same parameters multiple time in the same P file, although it's meaningless. Why to mention the same parameter with different values? I'm assuming that it's by oversight that you have mentioned the same parameter multiple times in your parameter file. In that case, the parameter that appears towards the end of the file are considered. The values which are the latest revisions are considered. So in my case, The file will be read from line number 1 to line number last. The same parameter has been mentioned thrice. The one that is mentioned most recently towards the end of the file will be considered, meaning my instance would start assuming processes parameter value is 300. Oracle validates all the parameters that you add to the SP file using the commands. So the same parameter cannot be duplicated in case of SP file. So this is not possible in case of SP file. You add a parameter using alter system command. So I said alter system process is equal to 100. 10 minutes down the line I said alter system set process is equal to 200. Now this new value of 200 will override the previous value of the parameter. So there wouldn't be multiple lines in my SP file about the same parameter. So the new value of 200 will override the value of 100 which I mentioned some time back. So the same parameter will never be duplicated in case of a SP file. Also, since Oracle adds the parameters after validation to the SP file, errors in the parameter name or value are outright rejected. So instead of processes, let's say I typed a command where I mistyped the processes word, then outright the command will be rejected. It will say no such parameter called as whatever the typing mistake we have done. That's not the case, however, with PFILE. It's quite possible that you might wrongly type processes with a different spelling, which could lead to errors while reading the PFILE at instance startup, which you need to rectify. Now there is no such case in case of PFILE. I'm going to write a similar point here. Since parameters are added manually to the PFILE, there's a possibility that the user might wrongly type either the name or the value of the parameter and save it in PFILE. This would, however, error out during the next instance startup. You have to anyways correct it, but when you will come to know only when you try to start up the Oracle instance the next time. Certain features cannot be used to the fullest extent using PFILE, such as ASMM and AMM. ASMM stands for Automatic Shared Memory Management, a 10G style of memory managing or doing the memory management for SGA, auto-tuned components. AMM is the 11G style of memory management which can manage within the given budget both the SGA and the PGA. Now we must understand why I am saying so. With SPFILE, you can take the full advantage of ASMM and AMM features. See how it works. ASMM was introduced in 10G for automatic shared memory management of auto-tuned SGA components. I told you earlier, auto-tuned SGA components are shared pool, database buffer cache, large pool, Java pool, and streams pool. Memory for all these components can be automatically managed by Oracle, provided you should provide some value for SGA target and SGA max size. So within the given budget, Oracle would auto-tune the memory components, auto-tune memory components. Now with this case, so what Oracle does, it allocates an SGA of whatever size you mention with SGA target. So let's say I said SGA target of 1 GB and SGA max size of 2 GB. Oracle will start an Oracle instance assuming SGA has to be initially of 1 GB. Then as and when more memory is required, Oracle keeps on growing the SGA by doing uh, dynamic memory allocation. This dynamic memory allocation can continue until the SGA size reaches the final value of 2 GB, which I have mentioned using the parameter SGA max size. SGA cannot grow beyond this limit. Once Oracle achieves this SGA size, and then it starts doing automatic memory management. Now within automatic memory management, if memory is available in excess with shared pool and is required for optimal performance of database buffer cache, it will borrow the memory from shared pool and it will give it to the database buffer cache in something called as, in units called as granules. Now while doing this memory juggling with the help of MMAN process, which is called as memory manager, also called as a memory broker process, at some point in time Oracle would learn what is the most optimal sizes of those auto-tuned components which would work in most of the cases. Once those sizes are discovered, Oracle writes those sizes for those individual auto-tuned memory components into SPFILE. It cannot write into PFILE. Now when I shut down my instance next time and start it up, it does not have to rediscover again what would be the optimal size of those auto-tuned components. In the previous run of my Oracle instance, it has already worked hard upon finding what is the most optimal size for all those auto-tuned components, and once discovered, it has also written that magical combination into the SPFILE. So next instance startup, it does not have to go back in a learning mode to find out what are the most optimal sizes. So if you want to take the full advantage of the ASMM or AMM feature, you should use these features along with SPFILE. With PFILE, although it has discovered, it cannot write directly into the SPFILE what should be the sizes for database buffer cache, shared pool, large pool, Java pool, and the shared pool and streams pool. So although it has discovered, it cannot write it down. Now if you shut down the Oracle instance and start up the next time, it again goes back in a learning mode. Like, let me start with the SGA target of 1 GB. Let me grow up to 2 GB. Let me start doing memory juggling with the help of MMAN background process. And once it becomes enlightened as to what sizes are going to work, again it's back to square zero. I cannot write it down to a PFILE. So again, if I shut down my instance and start up, Oracle has to spend a lot of energy finding what magical combination is always going to work for your auto-tune memory components. That's where I said earlier, certain features cannot be used to the fullest extent using PFILE. These features are ASMM and AMM. Just to write it down here, AMM was introduced in 11G for automatic memory management, which includes SGA and PGA both. The parameters are memory underscore target and memory max target. So slightly different. So earlier it was memory target, SGA target and SGA max size. Here it is memory target and memory max target. So here I said 2 GB and 3 GB, which means initially start your Oracle instance where the total memory consumption is not more than 2 GB collectively for SGA and PGA, and then keep on growing the memory until the total memory burden on my server is 3 GB collectively for SGA and PGA. Now Oracle would automatically manage the auto-tune memory components of SGA and the PGA within this budget. Clear? So such features cannot be used to their fullest potential until you start using SPFILE. Now some of the common characteristics which I will highlight. How are the parameters written in PFILE or SPFILE? Parameters in a SPFILE or PFILE are written as star dot parameter name is equal to value, or instance name dot parameter is equal to value, or parameter name is equal to value. Any of them are valid examples of how to write a parameter into a parameter file. In one case I said star dot parameter is equal to value, meaning all the instances of my Oracle database instance should refer to this value of this parameter. All the instances. Now when I am talking about all the instances, I am talking about real application cluster. That will only be applicable for rack environments where there are more than one instances belonging to the same database. So I am going to write down saying star dot processes is equal to 100. I can say instance 1 dot processes is equal to 200, or I can simply say processes is equal to 300. So in this case, all the instances will refer to a value processes is equal to 100 except instance 1. For instance 1 alone, I have made a distinction saying for instance 1 alone, the processes parameter should be set to a value 200. Here it's a generic description which is like this. Clear? Now I said there is a possibility of a parameter getting duplicated using a PFILE, in which case the recent most definition which is defined down under in your parameter file will be considered. There is no such case possible in case of a SPFILE. A parameter would never get duplicated in case of a SPFILE. Next point, when both PFILE and SPFILE are present on the server, PFILE would have a lower precedence, while in case of SPFILE, when both PFILE and SPFILE are present on the server, SPFILE would have a higher precedence, meaning if both the files are present, in that case the SP file will be considered. P file will not be considered. However, if a SP file is not there, then and a P file exists, then a P file will be considered. If you do not want to use the default P file, which is $Oracle home dbs init sid .ora, then you can specify an alternate P file at some other location in the startup command using the P file is equal to P file clause, such as during startup I can say startup P file is equal to /tmp/init.ora. So if you do not want to use the default, by default Oracle will look for Oracle home dbs init sid.ora. If I do not want to use for my instance that file temporarily for some reason, then you can specify an alternate location of init.ora by passing a P file argument to the startup command. There is no SP file argument for the startup command. So there is nothing called as startup SP file equal to some other SP file. You can check the parameters read from the P file using select star from v dollar parameter view. You can check the parameters read from SP file using select star from v dollar SP parameter view. One P file can source another P file using ifile parameter. So in my P file I might say processes is equal to 100, SGA target is equal to 200, and further I might say ifile is equal to /tmp/init.ora, meaning my P file is also reading parameter from some other parameter file. So that is possible. One P file can source another P file using ifile argument, and one P file can source an SP file using SP file parameter. So you might can in your init sid.ora you can say SP file is equal to this is possible. So from your P file you can source an SP file. From your P file you can source another P file. So that is possible. Clear? The possibility of the corruption or of corruption is less because this is a text file, and accidentally if you do the same thing with a P file, the possibility of corruption of an SP file is high. The moment you edit it, that SP file with a VI editor and save it without doing any changes, the file gets corrupted. So the contents are tampered now. So the possibility of corruption is quite high. Now for these many advantages of SP file over a P file, Oracle always recommends you to use an SP file. There are multiple advantages of SP file that we have seen. Number one, parameter changes can be made persistent. Second thing, Arman can take a backup of that SP file. Third thing, the new 11G, 10G features such as ASMM, AMM can be used to their fullest potential only by using SP file. So because of these many advantages of SP file, Oracle always recommends you to use an SP file. I am going to quickly show you a demo of how to use them. Next thing is, you can translate. You can create a P file from an SP file. So you can say create P file is equal to /tmp/init.ora from SP file. You can say create P file from SP file, or you can say create P file from SP file is equal to /tmp/spfile.ora. What are the differences? In the first one, I said what is the path of P file, where the P file should be created. I didn't mention the path for SP file. So which SP file will be referred? Default SP file. Oracle Home DBS SPFile sit.ora. In the second example, I didn't specify the path of P file. I didn't specify the path of SP file. So which P file will be created? Oracle Home DBS init sit.ora. Which SP file will be referred? Oracle Home DBS SPFile sit.ora. In the third case, I didn't mention the path of P file. So the default P file will be created, which is Oracle Home DBS init sit.ora from the SP file, which I am mentioning as a custom SP file, not from the default SP file. Exactly reverse of this is also possible. You can create a SP file from a P file by saying create SP file something like this. So I said create SP file tmp spfile.ora from P file. Create SP file from P file. Create SP file from P file is equal to something. So you can convert from one format to another. Also, this is possible. Create P file from memory. Means whatever parameters are there currently in my instance, dump them, all of them, to my P file. So you can do this as well. So you can say create P file from memory. So it will dump all the parameters that are there in your currently running instance. All of them would be dumped in a form of a P file. Now a common description of a parameter file. So I am writing it here. Each parameter has its own and sometimes platform dependent default value. So when a parameter is not mentioned in the parameter file, it means you want to continue using the default value of that parameter. So understand this. Each parameter has its own and sometimes platform dependent default value. So when a parameter is not mentioned in the parameter file, it means that you want to start using or continue using the default value of that parameter. In other words, which parameters you mention in the parameter file? You only mention those parameters where the default value is not acceptable to you. Only those parameters are mentioned in the parameter file. If the parameter anyways is using the default value, then my question is why to mention it in the parameter file? Anyways, even if you don't mention, it will read the same default value of the parameter. In other words, you only mention those parameters in the parameter file where the default value is not acceptable to you. Clear? So not all the parameters are to be mentioned. Oracle provides you roughly 385 odd parameters. Roughly there are 385 parameters. Am I going to mention all of them in my parameter file? No. For most of the parameters, the default value is sufficient. So in that case, I need not mention those parameters if I am okay with the default value. So I am going to check what's being used in my case. I am logging in as Oracle. I am sourcing my database environment file that I created yesterday. I am going to Oracle Home DBS and I check what is there. I am using a SP file. Remember, the name of my instance is DemoDB. If I see what type of a file it is, I said file to examine the contents of it. The magic data represents that it's a binary file data. But if I see what type of a file is this, it says it's ASCII English text. So I can edit a I can edit a SP file, but do not save it. The moment you save it, the file will be corrupted. So you can check it and you can notice there is some strange patterns, the binary characters at the beginning. So see how I am coming out of that PFILE editor using Q exclamation, which means I do not want to modify anything. Now I am saying startup. So it will refer to my SP file and accordingly it will read all the parameters from my SP file and my Oracle instance will start. You can use the command strings to see what are the readable contents in the parameter file. Say strings -a, name of your binary file, and it will print the readable data from that binary file. So you can see these are the only parameters that are there. So processes parameter is currently set to 150. What type of a parameter is processes? It's a static parameter. So see if what happens if I try to modify the static parameter. So I said alter system set processes is equal to 200. When I don't mention any scope, what scope would apply? Both. It says both means change it in the memory, also write it into the SP file. It says no, the parameter cannot be modified in memory. So see, specifies initialization parameter cannot be modified. It's a static parameter, and static parameters can only be modified using one scope value, and that is SP file. Let me try changing by saying scope equal to memory. Clear? No. I say let me see what is the current value. So I am saying show parameter processes. What is the current value of processes? 150. That's what we have seen in the SP file. Now I am changing it with a correct scope argument by saying scope equal to SP file. But what is currently available? Currently processes is only 150. So when will be the new value come in effect? Only when I shut down the instance and start up the subsequent time. I am saying startup force, meaning shut abort my current instance and restart it. And after the restart, when I see what's the value now, see the value of processes parameter. This is what you mean by static parameters. Static parameters cannot be modified immediately. They can be modified, but the changed value will not come into effect immediately. The changed value will only come in effect after the subsequent restart of a parameter, restart of your Oracle instance. But other parameters, not all other parameters are static. So I said show parameter log underscore archive underscore dest underscore 1. Currently the parameter is not defined, but this is a dynamic parameter, I know. So I can change it by saying alter system set log archive dest is equal to location. This is meaningless. We don't keep the archive location as TMP, but just to show you. So I didn't mention scope, means scope would be both. I am saying alter system set log underscore archive underscore dest underscore 1. Oh, the typo. Now if I so what is the default scope? Both, means change it now and also write the modified value into the SP file. So let's see. Now it is available. It is available in almost immediately, and the modified value is also written into the SP file. How do I know? Let's do a strings. See, the modified value is written here. So the value is changed now in my currently running instance, and the modified value is also written into my SP file. So the modified value is immediately available and is also available for every subsequent restarts that I would be doing. Clear? If I want to reset a parameter to its default value, you can say alter system reset name of the parameter. So it has been reset to a default value. Now, what was the default value? By default, nothing was there. See here, the parameter is removed. Earlier, when I checked initially, processes was 150. Later on, we modified with SPFILE argument, and it read the modified value of 200 after we restarted the instance. Here I said reset. Reset means use the default value. So the parameter was removed from my SP file. Anyways, I said use the default value, and I told you earlier, if the parameter uses a default value, there is no need for you to mention that parameter in the parameter file. So after I said reset, automatically the parameter was removed from the parameter file. Clear? You can check the values of the parameters which you are using from the dynamic performance view. In the SP file discussion, I mentioned earlier $SP parameter is the view where name is equal to processes. So see what it says, which SID, which instance it applies to, all the instances. What is the name of the parameter? Processes. What is the data type that it can accept? Integer. What value it's currently set to? Null, which means it is using the default value. Is that clear? Let me check on the similar lines. The value of our parameter log underscore archive underscore dest underscore 1. Which instance it applies to? All the instances. Name of the parameter. What type of a value it accepts? Strings type. What is the location? Display value. Location is equal to TMP. And has it been updated? Yes. Has it been updated? No. The processes parameter was not updated. I am checking it from select star from $v parameter, where name is equal to processes. The name of the parameter is processes. Value is currently 200. Remember, because I didn't bounce it after the reset. And I said scope equal to SPFILE. So is it using the default value? No, because I changed it from whatever was the default value to 200. Is this session modifiable? No. Is this system modifiable? No. Is it modified? No. So is it adjusted? No. So understand this. Now if I shut down my instance and start up and requery it, you will see different things. So I am saying startup force. So is it using default value? No. Now I am querying it. Is it using default value? So using $v parameter, you can determine number one, is the parameter using default value? Whether or not the parameter can be modified using alter session command with the column. Is ses modifiable is the column. If I describe this view, you will come to know what are the column names. Is this variable who is using this value, is it using the default value? True or false? Is it session modifiable? Can you modify that parameter using alter session? Is it sys modifiable, which means can you modify the parameter using alter system command? Is it instance modifiable? Has it been modified? Was it adjusted to the nearest rounded value? Has it been updated, or what is the update comment that you have applied? You can also say alter system set processes is equal to 200, scope equal to SPFILE, seed is equal to start, comments is equal to new value. So you can mention comments as well. I think comment. There is a placement problem also. So you cannot mention wherever whatever you want. So there is a placement problem, but the parameter is comment. Let me try it with comment. So you can also mention the comment. The only thing is you need to find out where that comment has to fit in. So let me try with scope equal to this thing. So somewhere it fits in. I'm not very sure about the syntax part of it though. But you can also mention your custom comment. So this is what it gives you. What is the comment that somebody has written while updating that parameter? Sometimes we use this comment to indicate that I have added this value because Oracle support has mentioned it via this ticket number. So normally I was facing a problem. I opened a ticket with Oracle. Oracle says change the processes parameter to 1200. and then in the comment I would mention normally the ticket number why I changed this parameter to this value. So it becomes a documentary evidence as to why somebody modified this parameter to some value. Is that clear? Now whenever you start up the Oracle instance, all non-default parameters are written in the alert log file. So I am editing the alert log file. The alert log file is in this location, which is pointed to by a parameter called as background dump dest. The alert log file's name is in this location alert SID name. So see, all non-default parameters are written in while instance is starting up in your alert log file, which means in a worst case, if you lose your parameter file, and I am assuming that there is no backup, you need not worry. Alert log has, every time your Oracle instance starts up, Oracle records all non-default parameters that were used during the instance startup. Let's see, I am duplicating this session. I am saying tell-f, and I will say shutdown abort. Once aborted, I am drawing a line here. This is my Lakshman Resha for observation. I said startup. The moment, this is my observation, the moment the instance was started, it's a starting Oracle instance, it dumped all those non-default parameters in the alert log file. So this is a documentary evidence of what values were changed. So you can check through the alert log. This time when it bounced, what were the values? Previous time it bounced, what were the values? All of them are recorded in an alert log. And then, as I said, you can create a P file from memory. So you can see now there's a P file with this name. I am removing it. I can say create P file from SPFILE, in which case I am going to and checking. See here, this file got created now. You can do the reverse of it by saying create a SP file from a P file, so on and so forth. To see all the parameters, you can say show parameter followed by enter. So all the parameters with their values are shown. You can also check how many parameters are there by in reality by saying select count star from $v parameter, and 345 parameters are there, roughly 344 parameters. One such parameter is SP file. So you can say show parameter SP file, which indicates that this is the SP file that was used during your last instance startup. Clear? If you do not start up using SP file, this parameter will be empty. See here, I am saying shutdown abort. I am moving the SP file. So now there is no SP file. It will make use of P file, which is anyways there. I said startup. I am saying show parameter SP file. It says no SP file was used. This is a proof of saying that the instance must have started using a P file. I am again saying shutdown abort. I am moving my, or instead of moving, let me do one thing. Init demo.ora, and I delete everything and I add only one line. SP file is equal to now I am saying SQL plus /sysdba startup See here which file it is using. This is leaving to that point which says one P file can source an SP file using a SP file clause. So which file I am using? P file or SP file? I am using SP file. How I am using it? Via P file. This way. So instead you could have had a SP file in place. If I rename that file back, next time which file it will use? Certainly SP file. Now directly the SP file is being referred to because it's available in the default location in the same naming convention that Oracle expects it to be. Last time I sourced it via a P file. So that's pretty much about the discussion about all the parameters and the parameter files. Now whatever I mentioned here, you need to understand, synthesize this and practice it around into the lab.